It's fun to act as the cameraman and the man in front of the camera too. Hi everybody, Michael Stever here. We are at the Gershwin Theater in New York City, talking with the man behind the Emerald Curtain, as it were, Mr. Stephen Schwartz.
Hey Michael, it's great to see you as always.
Thank you so much for allowing me to come and allowing me the privilege to be here.
Delighted you're here. Thank you for being here.
You think this is going to go down as kind of a pièce de résistance of grassroots movements for our new millennium?
It's the first of many. I hope it's just one step on the road until we don't have to do defying inequality anymore, because there's no more inequality. So, I don't think this, though it's an amazing evening with absolutely astounding entertainment. I can't believe they got this together so quickly, but and so with such polish and showmanship. Next year they should probably get this group to do the Oscars.
Yeah, have the Oscars in New York. There's never been an Oscars in New York, has there?
No. But yeah, aside from what a great event it is tonight, the whole point is that it needs to be a springboard for people who are here to organize in other ways, to go into their communities and spread the word. There's a lot of education to be done. As I said out there on the stage, I believe that most of the people who voted for Proposition 8, most of the people who supported other laws and amendments which have denied equality to gay and lesbian people, are not inherently evil people. I think they are
It's an old dogma.
Well, I think they're misinformed, and I think they've been fed a lot of fear and a lot of misinformation.
Generations and generations of fear, actually.
Absolutely.
How do you overturn that? I mean, without us evolving into a completely different species, which is what we're shooting for, obviously. I mean, in terms of taking the chaotic element out of our society, out of the history of us as a species. I mean, easier said than done, I would assume.
Well, but I think it's a matter of education. I mean, if you look at who's sitting in the White House right now, it's
a pretty encouraging thing.
Absolutely. People come to realize that that equality and equal rights should be something for all Americans, and that we don't have to be afraid of other people who are of a different skin color or now of a different sexual orientation. That we are all brothers and sisters of America, and everyone should have the same rights. And I think that, I mean, this is a movement that clearly is going to triumph ultimately.
How do you think that fundamentalist agenda is going to finally relinquish that grip that they are obviously so unwilling to let go of?
I don't think they will, but they're not the majority. I think what will happen is that the majority of Americans will realize that that's not their agenda. And, listen, there are still people who don't feel there should be anybody with African-American blood sitting in the White House, but they're not the majority anymore.
Thank God.
Yeah, exactly. There were, it wasn't so long ago that black people couldn't marry white people in this country, in several states. That's not the majority anymore. And I really feel that we're not that far away from the point where people realize that homosexuality is, it's not a choice that people are making, it's not some kind of affront to God, that this is inherently how people are born, in the same way that they're born with their skin color or their eye color, and therefore they shouldn't be denied rights based on that.
I agree. It's funny how I believe that people ultimately, fall on some kind of a sliding scale in terms of their sexuality. I mean, obviously some people are far to the hetero or far to the gay side, but I think a lot of people, maybe even most people, are wafting somewhere in between, if you want to look at sexuality on a sliding scale.
Well,
but yeah, we're not really programmed to embrace that, especially in this country.
The truth is, frankly, that may or may not be true, but it really doesn't matter when it comes down to rights. Everybody should have, every American should have equal rights to every other American. And it shouldn't be denied on any basis, be it color or sexual orientation.
Or having our constitutional rights tampered with by religious organizations.
Absolutely.
I was raised, Mormon, in Sacramento, no less.
Listen,
Have to throw that in one more time.
Thing that I don't. I mean, first of all, as you know, being raised Mormon, they weren't so great to African Americans for a very.
Yeah, and up until the 70s.
Yeah. Well, all of a sudden that changed. It does astound me that a religion that knew so much persecution in its early days for its own marital traditions is suddenly being in the forefront of, quote, the traditional definition of marriage, when their very founders had a completely different definition of marriage than is thought of as traditional. So, I mean, it is so obvious to me that is bigotry, because of all churches, that's the church that ought to know better.
You're right, because there is a foundation that is good in the Mormon Church. I mean, in terms of, the social, the camaraderie, I mean, there are elements in spirituality and in religion that I think are good, but it's it's those problematic, soul-choking parts that seem to be hard to overcome at times.
Well, people have used religion throughout the years for all sorts of social oppression. They've used it as an excuse for throughout the centuries, and this is just another example. But I do believe that that progress moves towards enlightenment.
And is being made just in the last 20, 30, 40 years.
Enormous progress in the last, 30, 40 months.
Did you anticipate when you were, bringing Wicked to fruition in your head, and with the people that wrote the book? I mean, did you ever think that you would be helming this movement?
No. One of the great gifts of the success of Wicked has been the fact that its high visibility and popularity has allowed those of us involved with the show to help focus attention on important progress that needs to be made, not just this movement, not just the Defying Inequality movement, but of course the whole green movement and environmental movement. Wicked's been very active in promoting that too, and it's just great to have something that allows people to pay attention to us. The fact that you and I are talking now about this,
it's a wonderful thing,
is due to the fact that Wicked makes people interested in what we have to say to one another.
The political undertones, in the story are so powerful and subtle at the same time. But I understand, I've not read the book, so I don't know, but I understand that the book differs quite a bit from how this production has ultimately evolved. Is that true, and how so?
Well, and the novel does. I mean, in many ways, the focus of the novel is considerably different. Politically, I think it's similar, but the novel's darker in some ways. It's more the Ozian structure in the novel is much more like Nazis than like sort of American. We went more for the American politics than the German politics.
Well, it's an inspiring night. Really, it really is.
Amazing night, absolutely amazing. To walk into the Gershwin and see it completely sold out and just rocking for.
You can hear it in the background.
Yeah, for this kind of movement, it's really thrilling, and I just hope that, and I believe it will. I think it's going to spread.
From your mouth to God's ears.
Thank you, Michael.
I've got you as a captive audience, and there's so many other questions I want to ask you. Maybe in another time, but it was a pleasure. Thank you so much.
It's always a pleasure to see you.
Thank you. Stephen Schwartz. Kick-ass good guy.